Audio's running through, sounding good. Oh, yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, we getting it popping. Or should I just say gentlemen? It's Unrehearsed. Well, I got my people with me. I got my guys with me. Woo, woo, boom, 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 boom. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. And y'all probably wondering, as y'all are watching, like, why is it only guys? Where is Mo? First off, shout out to Mo. Second off, shout out to Brandon. Shout out Ricky. Shout out Josiah. Shout out Chris. Everyone that helps us put this together behind the scenes. And welcome to the very first guys only special edition of Unrehearsed. Yeah, give it up for the fellas. We ruling Unrehearsed today. Now, ladies who are watching, if y'all are watching, probably wondering, well, what about the girls? Y'all know we looking out for y'all. We currently working on the ladies only edition of this very same thing. But today is about the fellas. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? So before we get into today's topic, you know me, it's your boy Deshaun Forrest, artist, producer, co-creator and co-host of Unrehearsed, founder of Transparency. All of that is a lot of hats we wear over here trying to build up this multimedia company. And we just gonna swing the mics around and introduce y'all to the panels who we have on today. Yeah, got my boy JM3. What up, John? Introduce yourself.
JM3, artist, rapper, preach the gospel.
Yes.
I can.
Yes.
There you go.
And I love people.
Yes. There we go.
My name's Humberto. Close friend of X.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love my wife.
Yes, sir. Oh, y'all got drama. Yeah.
Yeah, my name is Rodrigo. I work with X.
Yeah.
I'm also married. I've been married for 5 years. So
Yeah.
we'll bring some fire.
Fire.
Hey, my name is Antonio Reyes. I'm a communicator, a pastor, a creator too. So all kinds of stuff. We try all kinds of stuff here.
Do a little bit of everything. What's your church? Shout out your church.
It's a Discovery in the city of Davis, California.
Okay.
Yeah.
Discovery in the city of Davis. Real quick, he was a little clipping right there. Cool. Yeah. Alrighty. And for those that may not know, like X, who's X? I mean, anyone who knows me personally knows me for real. I'll just say that. I'll just say that. Anyone who knows me personally knows me for real. But it's Deshaun for all of y'all watching. So, Deshaun Forrest. Capital S, and that's Forrest with 2 R's. You got to be real specific. Right. You'd be surprised how many people messed that up, dog. That's an episode for another day. But why are we doing a guys only edition? Well, today we asking a question, and on Unrehearsed we don't really we don't plan much of anything. We just pose a question or pose a topic, and then we just keep it going. So today's topic is, does the one exist? And when me and Mo was kind of thinking about this, we wanted to do a guys only and a girls only because we wanted to have a dedicated episode for each perspective, because a lot of our episodes, since it's me and Mo, we kind of blend the two. But does the one really exist for us guys? I don't know about y'all and how y'all childhood was, but if we all had the same childhood, y'all probably came up watching Disney Channel like me. That's So Raven, High School Musical, all of that kind of stuff. Lizzie McGuire. We can go all Disney Channel, Nickelodeon, and how romance is handled in settings like that, and just movies in general. It's industry. It has to sell, so it has to be a good product. So a lot of things are kind of dramatized, exaggerated, but we don't necessarily think about that when we're going to go see a movie or watching it on TV. So we subconsciously are buying into that kind of stuff. So it kind of results in our expectations not being realistic.
Yeah, makes sense.
So on our panels, we got a mix of guys who are single, I'm included, and we got a mix of newly married gentlemen. So we're going to dive into this, fellas. What do y'all think? We all got some relationship experience. Does the one really exist? Like, for real? Is there really somebody out there for everyone? What we talking about?
I want to say something. Well, if I say that the real one doesn't exist, and then I go home to my wife, I think I'm going to be sleeping outside, right? So I would say the real one, like, it does exist, but it's a process. Like, to get to marriage, it's not just like, oh, you go watch movies and the things that you see at the movies is what a relationship has, but in reality, it's a process to get there.
What's that? So what is that process like? And is everyone or all? Because we're speaking from the perspective of guys, so we're just going to try to keep it as in regards to the fellas. Are we all fit for that process? Is like what is that? What was the process like for you? I guess is probably the better question. you know?
Well, I think for myself, it had to be. I had to figure out that I needed to grow myself. You know,
Oh,
you could go and say, "Oh, I found the one," but if you're not ready for the one, you know, you kind of either, you know, tell her the truth. You know, right now is not the time for me, but give me some time, and if she is the one, she'll wait for you. She'll wait for you to get that confidence, that, what would I say it, you know, the way to be able to show your emotions with it, the way you
that
can trust somebody,
vulnerability.
right?
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the biggest things is growing yourself. That way, once you meet the one, you know, you're ready.
Okay.
Yeah, for me, you know, I respect everybody's opinion. You know, and we had this conversation with my wife actually.
Okay.
And we both believe that there's not such thing as the one.
Okay, I like that.
But
Different perspective. I like that.
Nonetheless, there's a lot of qualities that we can find in another person, right? Qualities that we are attracted to, qualities that we want in a person, and qualities that we would like to connect, you know, for the rest of our lives. So we believe that, you know. I think the part of you mentioning that is that we have been educated by Hollywood in some other ways, right? And if you come like myself, we come from a broken family that I don't have a good point of reference, that a healthy marriage, a healthy family, I really don't know what to grab from. So I come maybe sometimes into that process, not really knowing what I want, what I desire, and bottom line, we are led by feeling only rather than by a structure, an idea, a desire of like, this is the things that I'm looking in a person. And so anyways, my process was finding healthy voices, finding healthy marriages that I wanna to be like, and allow those voices to speak into my life and help me rewire, detox from a lot of things, and open my mind to questions that probably I didn't ask or before, you know. So anyways, yeah, I know it was quite a lot, but
no, that's good. That's good, cause like oh, my fault. Did you want to chime in?
That's you.
Oh yeah, that's actually good, cause you know, I've had my relationship experience. If anyone's kept up with the music, kept up with the channel, you've probably heard some past music, you know, or some music videos and stuff where I kind of
I heard some venting.
You've heard some venting for sure.
You done gone through it.
I look, man, bruh. I mean, it's, but it was in hindsight, you know, that stuff happened some years ago. But in hindsight, it was like, oh wow, it's like a really good experience because, talking about after the fact, like a lot of character building came from that. You know, God he had his hand in it, and you know, God has a way of taking bad and flipping it, you know, for your good. And so I believe I became a completely new person, you know. So mentally, where I'm at as far as relationships, I'm focused on something completely different. Like you know, we're doing this, I'm working on building this company up, you know, building myself up, and there's other boxes that I want to check. So I'm not like as like connected to that as not at the moment.
Yeah.
Holla at me in a little while. Maybe things will change after some things take off. But I still have to ask myself, like, well, this the one, like, really? I feel like a lot of people just kind of like wait and just kind of, in a way, assume that the one is just gonna just drop into their lap per se.
Me, like me.
What's your mindset? What's your like to hop in on? What's your mindset of it? Do you said like you think the one's just going like?
I do. Well, not like that. I was just kind of being funny, but as a person with Christian beliefs and believe in God, I pray to God and just ask Him like to reveal who He has for me, and I think it's that simple.
that's
definitely a good start. Go ahead. Yeah,
I think so. I think I'm in the same boat. You know, if my desire will be as a man is that we can be ready for that moment.
right.
That if that person comes into the picture, right, that we can be ready to engage in a healthy way, and that we can actually work the necessary things to become, you know, the next step or whatever that looks like. Because the right person can come, and we can be in a very unhealthy place, and it could be messed up, right? So I think that I do feel like, to me, I met my current, obviously my wife right now, but I met her when we were in high school. You know, I was in a very dark place in that place in that season of my life, and her as well. So I think it was a process for us to get into a healthy place so that we can work things out.
Like an individual kind of thing.
So it's better for us to be like, man, hopefully when that person shows up, you know, that has the qualities that I desire and it has the character that I desire, and even I'm attracted to that person, hopefully I can be ready to engage with that person.
So then one could ask the question, what does getting ready look like? Because I put it to perspective. I think I might be the youngest one. I'm 24. I just turned 24. And so obviously I got a lot to learn, and I'm for surely in no rush to do anything. But what does, if I had it my way, I have a wife and children at some point. But what does getting ready look like? Like, how does one prepare yourself? How do you, because really what I'm asking is, how do you prepare yourself for something you've never had before? Like, how do you do that?
Yeah. I think, like, Tony and I, we've been friends for, like, many years. And having people in place that are able to speak to you when you're doing things wrong.
Or when you cut up.
Able to have a conversation and, like, kind of, like, being accountable to each other, right? Like, if I see Tony is doing X, Y, and Z, and then I don't call him out. And I'm like, hey, bro, like, that's not... I understand where you want to go one day.
Yeah.
But that's not it.
Yeah.
Like, now you got to go to this path. You got to, like, work together. And, like, having that brotherhood, like, nowadays is very rare. Like, because we as men, we are supposed to be, like, strong. We're supposed to, like... We're not supposed to share feelings with others, right? So, part of the process for me, and I can speak for myself, has been being able to speak to my brothers. Like Tony, my friends, my close friends. People that I can go to and say, hey, I'm going through this right now. I'm struggling with this. And, I broke up with a girl. Can you help me out? Can you, instead of me getting more
isolated,
deeper in a hole, you can go to friends and be like, hey, help me out. Like, let's talk about it. Let's be real.
You say they help you prepare.
I'll say, like, they keep me accountable. Having people accountable in your life is very important. To get to a place where you feel like you're ready to take to the next step.
Yeah, I would agree on that too. Like, being around the right people, asking the right questions is a good way to get yourself there. And with your experience, like you said, okay, it was something bad that happened to you, but you grew from it, right?
Yeah.
You kept moving forward. You didn't let yourself sink deeper and deeper and say, oh, there's no such thing as love.
Not too long. We had to fight to get up out of there, bro. We was almost in there. I ain't gonna lie.
And it makes you strong. It gives you that tolerance of, okay, I can keep going.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not scared to fall in love again when I find the one, and I know I learned from the last one, and I can push forward. But yeah, because the way I did it, the same thing. Didn't have a good perspective of what a marriage should be. So, you kind of learn these things. You make your mistakes. But as long as you're able to have those good friends around you that you could vent to, let out what you need to, and they're good influences as well. They're not just, oh, your girl ain't around. Oh, bro, let's go party. Let's just go out. Let's go out the state. No.
Yeah.
And yeah.
For me, has been that character development. I think the character development was important in my journey, to learn how to be committing, consistent, as well as have a vision for my life. Because at the end of the day, you don't marry personality, you marry character. You can't think that you are, someone makes you laugh, somebody makes you, it wins you over, but at the end of the day, that is not sustainable for the next 20, 30 years. You marry character. Look at their choices. Look at how do they spend their time? How do they spend their money? All of those things play into the picture of what you're doing. So to me, the character development is important in a man, because if we want to get into a relationship, all of those things are not going to go away. They're just going to exponentially.
Yeah, they're going to amplify.
Yeah, they're going to amplify it. And so I think that if you get ready in a personal level to have a structure, to have discipline, and bottom line, to be willing to sacrifice, which is, I think that's to me the most important thing. Sacrificial love
about that
is important for someone.
Let's talk about that. That's actually really, I'm glad you said that word, because like sacrificing, obviously it isn't easy, especially in, I guess, maybe our modern society. It's like you gotta have your stuff together, focus on yourself. It's a lot of individualistic things.
Yeah.
So then when you get into like a relationship and now you have to sacrifice, it's literally like going against everything you've been on up to that point. So how like how do you know what you should sacrifice? What are your like, okay, nah, this is like, I guess,
Like, where do you draw the line at?
yeah, like this, okay, sacrificing this is not negotiable. How do you do that, honestly? I just noticed, side note, this was unintentional. I just noticed I put all the married guys on over there.
Yeah, what's up with that? Why y'all got beef with us, bro?
We isolated over here.
I just noticed that. I did not intentionally do that, but it actually just kind of worked out that way. But yeah, like how does that
Yeah, I think there's like a misconception that marriage is always 50-50.
I hear that a lot.
And
I hear
the
that a
reality is I have seen a lot of people, I have seen like experts talk about this, that marriage or any relationship is sometimes you're doing 30% and she's doing 70%. Sometimes 60-40. It's never 50-50.
At times, though, huh? Or you
So it kind of
consistently-
changes then.
It changes.
Okay.
Because like, for example, just recently, like right now, I was supporting my wife for her to do her dream, right?
Right.
So she was going to pharmacy school for 4 years. You know, I had to sacrifice a lot.
Yeah.
In the sense of like spending time with her, right? Because she would come home and she would, you know, do school all day, then get home and then do more work. So I maybe spend like 30 minutes with her, right? If I was selfish, I would be like, hey, you know, I don't like this. This is not life.
Don't it go to a certain point where it's like, all right, I'm not sacrificing no more. This is my time for myself.
Right. But this is when like planning happens, right? Like so right now you're like, hey, you know, hey, babe, like right now.
Real quick, I'm gonna just interrupt you. We're gonna switch real quick. He has to make some adjustments on that. So I'm gonna take that one from you. That one is still operational, right? Okay, cool. Here's this one.
Like, how do you avoid those fights? If like you're saying, I don't want to sacrifice no more.
There's no such a thing that you're gonna avoid fights. In like, there's no like marriage without that you don't. If person tells you I never fight with my wife, they're not talking about the real stuff. They're not talking about each other's goals. They're not saying like, hey, why you're sacrificing right now? Like when I was sacrificing that time, is because I knew that she was gonna get to a place where, okay, now it's gonna be my time. So like right now she's gonna grow. She's gonna do her doctor's degree, get that stuff. It's gonna help us as a family. And then after that, it's like, okay, now it's my time. Now it's like, maybe I want to open a business. Maybe I want to do. It's my time to do something. So that's what I'm saying.
So it's a lot of
marriage
give and take
or
kinda
any
thing.
relationship. The problem is like young kids nowadays. They're just like, oh, 50-50. If she runs 1 mile, I will run 1 mile. If she doesn't run more than 1 mile, I'm done. And that's not how life is in reality.
Yeah, most of the time
That's good.
that's the important thing about communication and, like I said, patience. Because if you don't have any of that, right, let's say even with your family, if you can't communicate or have the patience to, you know, take whatever they're saying to you, there's a small chance that you'll be able to take somebody else telling you the same things that your mom would say to your face, right? Like, Xavier, clean up your room. Right? My bad, Deshaun, clean up your room.
No, you're good. Yeah.
Like, and if you can't handle that from your mom and you want to say you want to find the one, there's you have to make sure, like you were saying, the character matters a lot.
Okay.
Like the same way you treat your friends, she's not your friend, but you have to give her that respect.
Right,
you know?
right.
And then the same thing what he was saying with these young kids, especially me, the same thing that I was going through.
Yeah.
We don't want to do confrontation that much. We don't want to argue. We don't want to make our relationship look bad. But by doing that, you're not talking about the topics that really matter in the relationship.
So
Like,
you kind of have to have those rough conversations.
you have to, yeah.
Okay.
Because it's not just your life anymore. It's both
that
of your
blend,
lives.
yeah,
Yeah, you become, you know, in Spanish it's casados. You know, that casa becomes one. Ya casa de dos. It's because you're in a spot with that person that you love. And if you can't understand them or, you know, you're too scared of confrontation, like, it's not going to work out. And a lot of people have those relationships and they say, oh, it never worked out because she was always arguing. No, she was reaching out to you and you weren't giving her the time.
You wasn't ready to receive that.
Yeah, you know, I love what they're saying. In talking about the little bit of the sacrifice, you know, I remember having a conversation with this girl that we were mentoring, my wife and I, and I remember asking her, about her relationship. And I drew in a page. I was like, I'm going to put your half and I'm going to put his half, right? I wonder how many sacrifices he has made for your half, for the thing that matters to you.
Mm-hmm.
And she says none. I don't know, how about yourself? How many sacrifices have you made for him? And she said, all of them. So when it's only
like
about...
she was able to list them all?
Yes,
and
yes.
Wow.
So to me, when we were having the conversation, I told her, see, the problem here is that you making all the sacrifice. And when it's a collective sacrifice, you will see a beautiful dance between both of you, right? And honestly, there's things in my life with my wife that now I'm willing to sacrifice that maybe 10 years ago I would say, no, I would never sacrifice that. But why? Because I think that we have developed such trustworthiness with each other, because we see each other and we're willing to navigate these things with each other, that I think that I'm willing to sacrifice beyond what I thought before, So I think that it's about really looking at the whole picture and seeing, okay, if I'm going to sacrifice all of those things, and you're vice versa, right? It's going to be a mutual sacrifice, a mutual dance together. I think the important thing is that, yes, I have non-negotiables, yes, but honestly, at one point in my life, if we develop this relationship, I'm willing to sacrifice this for you. If this is worth me sacrificing. But I think at the end of the day, it's a conversation, communication type of thing. And if we're scared to have that conversation at the beginning of the relationship, let me tell you, later on it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Later on it's not going to happen.
Wow. That's good. So how long did it take you guys to figure that out? Like,
Well, I mean, for me, like, I told her, and we had the same type of mindset where, all right, we're starting to date. What are your boundaries? That is the biggest thing that you could start off with.
It's not like communication's mad important.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Like, everybody watching, communication, like they say, they don't just say it's a key for anything. Like, it opens a doorway for you to move your relationship forward and on to the next level. Yeah, so it was instant. We talked. We said, you know what, these are my boundaries. I don't want you to cross these. And she gave me her boundaries the same. And I said, you know what, well, like, it adds up. Everything is good. Let's move forward.
Yeah, for me, I had to go through a bad breakup when I was in my 20s, and then I took like 3 to 4 years, and Tony's not gonna let me lie here, where I was dating people, but then I was looking more inside, because I was like, okay, so I did this to hurt this person, so now what do I need to do to change that? But then I started looking inwards rather than like I'm looking on the beauty of. I mean, have you guys seen? We haven't talked about how good a girl looks here. We're only talking about like real stuff here.
Yeah.
We're not talking about Disney things here.
That's important
So like
for me.
so that. Well, it is important.
Yeah.
But, you want a girl that looks. It's cute. Right?
This is with the assumption that she looked good.
Yeah, exactly.
She
Yeah, but at that time it took me like 4 years to really understand. First of all, what I wanted to do. How am I gonna support my family, right? I think that's another topic that we need to talk about is money. That topic.
Let's get into it.
If you see all the statistics,
50%
50% of the marriages fail because of money.
Really?
I don't know if it's real or not, but the arguments that I have with my wife, like the heavy ones, is because of money.
Really?
It's because we don't agree how we're gonna save or how we're gonna spend money, or why am I buying a cup of coffee every day at Starbucks? Because little things like that, she might be like, yo, like I bought you like a coffee machine at home and you're spending coffee every day. It's our money now. Like, what are you doing? So little things like that, I think we need to talk about that too. Money.
Like, we can get into it. This unrehearsed. We can get into it. We can talk about this money.
All right, but I do want to talk about the appearance of, like, from John. So being single, you're looking for the one, but eventually you'll find a girl. Oh, she's fine. Let me go holler. Let me say something to her real fast. And your homies will hype you up. But do you feel you're going to that attractive woman because you want to, or because there's people hyping you up to go to her?
Oh, or Instagram.
Or
Instagram.
Yeah.
You see all them hearts on Instagram.
Yeah. I mean, the reality, I think as men, we are visual species. We are attracted. And I'm not gonna see it. As a pastor, I'm not gonna tell men, don't be attracted to that person. Don't look at their physical appearance. Of course, that's not realistic.
Yeah.
You know, I love my wife, and I look at her physical appearance as well as she looks at me, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's nothing. Let's not demonize that, but nonetheless, that is not the biggest priority in the conversation when you want to engage in a relationship.
Right.
Because I think that when it becomes only about that, let me tell you, 50 is gonna hit. 55 is gonna hit, 60 is gonna hit, and it's not gonna look the same. We're not gonna look the same.
Beauty is vain, or fleeting and stuff like that.
We're not gonna look the same. I mean, hopefully I can work out and be decent, you know. But anyway, I don't think it's like that is something that is part of who we are. It's in our wiring. But the problem is that when that becomes the only thing that we look in a person, that's just not gonna. That's not gonna be helpful.
And look, and just for transparency's sake, it's a good thing you say that, because I think it's easy to get caught up in that. I fought victim, bro. I ain't gonna cap.
It's easy to get caught up in that.
I fought.
I get you.
I fought victim, dog. Like,
is that like one of the first things we look for? Though?
Yeah. Well, yeah, because that's what hooks you in and stuff like that. And then next, you know, I be overthinking, so I'll be asking myself what I like about this girl. And after just looks, I'm like, I mean, she's nice. She cool. It's like, oh man, it's like, and I'm that's something that after because you know, like Rodrigo, I went through a really bad breakup. You know, it was like, you know, I was engaged. I was almost there. I was just before where you guys are. If nothing happened, I'd be sitting on that couch right now.
You'll be with us.
I'll be with y'all. And then with about 7 or 8 months until before what would have been the month of the wedding, things got called off. I had to call up my best man. Alan was gonna be my best man. Y'all know Alan, he's been on the show. I had to call him up back when he was still doing his thing, and I believe he was in the military at the time, and pretty much say, yo, it's off, so I had to deal with that embarrassment. And then I had just showed my pops and my brothers the ring. I had to send that joint back off. Imagine printing out the shipping slip and then it was bad. And then I went through a couple of years where it just felt like rebuilding. It's weird what a bad breakup will do to you. Not only will it like mess you up emotionally, but if it was a bad breakup and a bad relationship, it's like, man, you'd be surprised how much bad stuff kind of spring from that. So it's like I'm fighting.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
You know how people say, what don't kill you make you stronger?
Yeah.
Like bad experience like that.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say that made you stronger, or was it just like a bad experience?
Can I be honest with you?
Yeah, because I don't always believe that.
Yeah, me either.
Well, for me, I believe, I'll put it to you like this. If that didn't happen, we wouldn't be sitting here right now. Because here's why. Because literally transparency was started off of that. It was founded off of that emotional, the company Transparency. Unrehearsed is a transparency show. So all of that was literally started days before things went like, boom. And so like the previous 2 projects, Transparent 1, Transparent 2, it was all from there. And so, and that's business side thing, but for me, it brought me extremely close to God, and I thought I was already close. Like, I've grown up in church. My dad is my pastor. You know what I'm saying? Our church is right over the way over there, and so my dad and my mom's pastor and first lady. Before they were pastoring the church, my grandfather and my grandmother was pastoring the church. So like, I already knew. I was already fasting, reading the word, been on the altar, praying, all of that kind of stuff, but God was doing something that I didn't see, and then didn't take it's like a couple of years before I really noticed what was really happening. But he was using that to kind of draw me in closer, because like I said, a lot of bad things could kind of spring forward from that. So there was like depression there, and I talked about it in music. There was like suicidal thoughts I was fighting. Well, I told you I was fighting not to go in there, but there was days it was like, yo, I think I'm losing, bro. I'm not winning this joint. And then there's other days it was like, okay, I think I'm okay. It was just that spiritual battle that I've talked about a lot in my music, and it has made me like stronger. Like, I'm way more closer, and it's like I thought I was like this with God, and now it's like with God that close. And you know, I know myself a lot more as a person. I understand God a lot more. I understand Jesus a lot more just as our creator and how he influences my life. And on another side, I just know what I want more out of life. And it's spring from this. And it had me thinking about that parable Jesus was talking about. Was like, if, and I'm going to paraphrase it, but if it's like a fruit that's been planted by the Father, if it's producing fruit, he's going to purge it, that it produces more fruit. And so out of that bad experiences, it came the music, like how it's being created now. It came this show, and then there's other things that we want to do that we're going to do when time and money permits. But you know, it's like a whole new person was kind of created out of that. So now it's like producing more fruit. This kind of show would never have happened before then, because I was a hard rock. You know, I was like, you know, the Transparent projects was me kind of like coming out of that slowly. That's why I took 2 projects for that to happen. But I was a hard rock. You know how society tells us, you know, guys can't show their emotions. We can't cry. I never forget my earliest memory. One of my earliest memories. I was like probably 3 or 4 years old. You know, you're getting your shots and stuff like that for preschool. I used to always cry getting my shots, but my dad was like, "Don't cry this time. Don't cry this time." And I was nervous, and I was getting the shot, and I felt it coming like, and my dad was like, "No, don't do it." I just had to suck it up, kind of thing. And then my dad was like, "Yeah." We would call my grandma on the way home, like, he didn't cry. Stuff like that was taught to us guys.
Yeah.
To hold in those emotions, to not reveal what you're really thinking. So literally, transparency in the show Unrehearsed is the complete opposite of my nature. That's nobody but God. Yeah. Because original me, high school me and Humberto go way back to high school, would never do this. Ever. Being real. Yeah. But now I see, like, this is necessary. Not just for me, but for us here and for the people watching, because maybe people watching don't have that kind of space, that kind of people that they can go to.
Yeah, so that's true. Just because the same thing with being young, especially growing up in the United States.
Yeah.
You know, you do get fed all these type of products, and you never get fed like, oh, here's the word. If you're not with a biblical family, let's say a really religious one, you kind of have to learn these things the hard way. Like you're saying, let's say, you know, you were a rock. You thought you knew what you wanted. You thought you had everything, but in reality, God knew exactly what you needed, and he gave you what it was. Yeah. And there's people who, they don't get that. They're just going along with life, and they never get hit with the, oh, here's the stone to break that stone. Yeah. And, like these messages that we're giving out, it's real experiences. These are things that we learn going through life, and then finding the person that we could spend the rest of our life together with. Yeah. Like, it's a beautiful thing, but you have to understand that even roses have thorns, you know? Yeah. Oh, that's deep. You're going to have ups and downs, but as long as you're always with that person, and you know, no matter how bad things get, that's the person that you want to go to at the end of the day. Right. That's a beautiful thing to have. Same page. He that finds a wife finds a good thing type joint. So what if, having said that, what if you're in your single phase? And, you know, like, for example, I'm single, working on building this up. My mind isn't so much there, but maybe some other guy may be single, but is desiring that, but God is like, not right now, or maybe not ever. You know, I asked this because Jesus, I'm gonna paraphrase it again, but he dropped this little nugget, this little bomb that I never understood as a kid, but I didn't really, it hit me different a couple of weeks ago. It was like some are eunuchs of men, some are made eunuchs from birth, and some are eunuchs for the sake of the kingdom. It's the kingdom of God. So what if, not saying, oh yeah, this is what you are, da, da, da. I mean, only God knows, only you and God knows. But what if you're currently in your single phase, and maybe that's not it for you at the moment, at least? But you still desire that. That's the conflict right there, right? You still desire that. How do you? I say
first, you have to see what you actually want. Can you picture yourself being in a marriage? Do you picture yourself having kids? And I say next is to get understanding from God, because he knows what you actually want as well, and he knows what's best for you. Yeah. So I'll say, don't be afraid to also be at peace with just being single, even if it is for a long time, because that'll give you time to work on yourself, deal with your own issues, and then also to give you more of a clear mind to see who you really want. It'll give you more of like a pure vision to look at the right woman, basically.
Yeah, I think that's.
But that's hard though, to be at peace with, like, man, I want to be.
It's harder for some than it is for others. I'll admit that, and I have reached a point now where I am happy. I am happy. I made peace with both possibilities. It's a possibility I can have my wife and children. It's a possibility that maybe that won't happen.
You saying you're at peace with like not being in a relationship ever? You will be at peace with that?
If God don't have it for me, I have to be okay with that. If God has it for me, it's going to come at the right time. So the reason why I say that is because having made peace with the possibility that this could happen and possibility whatever God has is allowed me, just me personally, it's allowed me to be happy where I am. I think that's one of the things that we mess up as young men, as young people. I know I've made this. I'll raise my hand in guilt. In previous experiences, I subconsciously, it was never intentional, but I had a weird way of kind of basing my happiness on the success of a relationship. So if that joint didn't work out, I was crushed. Yeah. So imagine being engaged. You like, yo, this is the furthest I've gone. We almost there. Yeah. We planning, we flipping, we planted decorations.
So that crushed you.
And then that's why I was that down under. There was a year, John knows, but there was about a year span where I was hard to find. Like, I was still in my usual city. I was still going to work, going to church, whatever. But as far as socializing, actually reaching me, I was like off the face of the earth. And then after like a year, it's like I kind of just started coming back. But yeah, I know like where my happiness is. It's in God. It's in knowing what He has for me. It's just being happy where I am and who I am, being comfortable in my own skin and not doing that young, youthful little thing that I think many kind of fall into the trap of doing unknowingly. But yeah.
I think it's an important topic that you bring up is being comfortable with yourself. Let's say you do, and like you were saying, you were basing off your success of the relationship and with happiness. Sorry about that.
No, you good.
All right. Threw me off. All right, I'm back. I'm back. So you have to be able to be comfortable with yourself before you add somebody into your life. Right, because, you know, there's going to be moments where that person, okay, I have a business trip or I have to go do this for a week, a month. You have to be comfortable in yourself and trusting, right? To say, okay, they'll be fine. They'll be safe. I can enjoy my peace. And then there's people out there who, I just need to find the right one and then I'm set. That's it. As soon as I find her, I don't have to worry about anything. And then when the one wants to leave because that person, too controlling, not letting them be themselves because, for one, you're showing your insecurity of, I'm too scared to be by myself. So I don't want you to be on your own. Yeah. And, it happens. And the same thing, you have to bring up these topics so somebody could realize it like, oh, you know what? I'm sitting back and I didn't realize that I'm not comfortable by myself.
Some people just have to be in a relationship.
Yeah, they just keep going and going and
next one.
Yeah,
that was me actually.
Word.
I never learned.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I never learned.
Fast?
I'm sorry.
Did you get married fast?
No, but I think that the problem was that I always had like a candidate per se. You know,
one in the pocket,
in the roster.
Yeah,
I have in the roster. I had a roster.
Yeah,
but you know what? Later on, when I got married, I had to unlearn and unwire such a mess because of that feeling. Because I never learned on my own. Because when I got married, there was always this insecurity and so many other feelings that I never dealt with. And I got married, but I had to deal with that later on, Yeah. So I'm 100%. If you learn how to do it by yourself, man, props to you. But I think going back to the idea of like, what do you do? I do think that just FYI, I think right now is a very hard time to date and to find a person. At least the conversations that I've been having with some of my young adults and men in particular, it's complicated. Apps, social media, all of those things play into the picture nowadays that it makes it very complicated to find a person. And as well as for a man, as a man, they deal with all kinds of stuff. So my desire is like, hey, look, If you find peace, you know, and if you're working, if you have a vision for your life, man, and if you don't feel the necessity to get married, good. Let's not put marriage in a pedestal.
Yeah, I feel like we do that. I feel like, I don't know if it's just American, you know, Hollywood, social media culture, but I feel like it's like marriage is a gift from God.
Yes.
Praise God. If he that finds a wife finds a good thing.
I love
but it's almost like, bro, I gotta get married. Like with some people, it's like, if I don't get married, my life is so wrecked. And
even as a Latino,
honestly, that's kind of my mindset right now too. Like, that's a major goal of mine.
Yeah, and it's a good thing. I tell them, hey, if you desire to get married, that is not a negative thing. That is not a bad thing. This is not against God. No, that is a good thing. But nonetheless, you know, like, you need to find the balance in this whole conversation so that you can actually work on yourself. Perfect. Yeah, and then you're ready also as a man to be ready. Just gonna throw something out.
Yeah,
I found so many men not ready for a relationship. We are steps behind as men right now. We're not prepared to engage in a relationship. We're not ready. We don't have a vision for our lives. Sometimes we don't have the character traits to actually bring something to the table. My desire is to see all these men to be ready. You know, I'm not saying to be unhealthy manhood. You know, I'm saying have something to bring to the table. You know, because that is important. You know, so that is part of the conversation that sometimes I navigate with them. Do not put marriage on a pedestal, but nonetheless, if you desire, that is not a negative thing.
Yeah,
want it. It's good. Be ready for it.
Yeah,
you know,
that's really good. Yeah, it's finding that balance, that mental balance.
It's better that you take your time when you're single.
Yeah,
because you're not. Once you get in a relationship, now you're not just dealing with your heart. If you break someone's, now you're gonna break someone's heart. If you have kids, think about why so many families are broken, and how so many people never had the experience. Like, you know, my experience. Like, my parents got divorced when I was like little, so my mom told me, "You're now the man of the house," and I'm like 10 years old, man.
Wow.
So it's like, how do I know how a healthy relationship looks like? You know. So it's like, it's better that you take your time, because once you get, like, you know, what Tim was saying, like, hey, I went to my marriage and I was not ready. You know, once you get to the marriage, now you're not just playing with yourself. You're playing with your lady's heart. If you have kids, your kids they're going to have daddy issues. They're going to be like, hey, daddy, like, you know, now I need to go look at a boy.
To try to fill that void.
Exactly, because I never had my dad at home. So now you're playing with fire, man. So it's like, it's better that you take time when you're single to figure out everything that you want. And like Tony said, like, I don't think it's easy right now. I don't think you're gonna find a wife.
But has it ever really been easy?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Well,
you know,
I want to say, I don't think you will find a wife in Tinder. I don't think you will gonna find a wife in Hinge, all these apps. Yeah. Because, you know, I can post a picture and I'm in vacation and this is the best picture that I have. But what about or like a girl can post like the best picture with makeup. But what about when you go to sleep and she takes out the makeup?
What you think
and the
about
real
that,
comes
bro?
out?
I think you can find a wife on the internet.
Well, I'm more old school. Like I like to get out. Yeah, I like to get out and actually, like, if I am, like, I like to.
Even there is.
I've never done like dating apps. Like I've
You're
always.
not an app dude?
Nah, I'm trying to put my phone down. Like, I can't wait to get to a point where it's like, pray God bless my career and I can have like a team running social media. I want to put my phone down, bro. Yeah. But that's just me, though.
The way you're doing it is perfect. You know, you're doing your business, and who knows if God's gonna say, "Oh, he's doing all this business stuff. Let me see if he'll run into, you know, somebody who could help you with promotions, or, you know," and then that's the person you connect with the most.
Yeah.
Not only do you find the one, but you're also building up to a common goal.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think accountability is one thing that I would say the young people today just don't have anymore. I would say to be an actual man is to take accountability of your actions. Of if you messed up, it's on you, and you know, and what are you gonna do to fix it?
Yeah.
Nowadays it's like, oh, I messed up. That's it. They don't do anything about it. They just acknowledge it.
No,
they don't.
Praise it. Now it's a praise. Oh, I messed up. Oh, it was a one night stand. Oh, well, that's fine. That's what the world is telling me, that's okay to be. It's okay to have one night stand. It's okay to just hop from like one girl to another girl. That's
that's
fine.
culture.
That's the culture that teaches you. But you're gonna end it up broken, no matter what. And I'm telling you right now, if you decide to live that life, at the end of the day, you're gonna find yourself empty, and you're gonna be like, man, I don't know what I want to do with my life anymore. Especially when you rely so much on like relationships, which a lot of men do.
Yeah.
It's become more of a status symbol now instead of
Definitely.
you finding the person to grow with. It's just, oh yeah, this is my wife, bad as hell, Instagram likes, comments, everything. And that's just one thing that we've lost, of keeping your relationship.
Yeah,
Nah.
I'm not
that's
I'm
true.
not a public I'm technically a public figure or like a small content creator, but it's like I'm private, bro. It's like, especially when it comes to stuff like that, I'm not the kind of person who's like, man, everybody got to know what I'm doing today. Look at me over in Walmart shopping for, like, man, that's just not me. But any closing thoughts? First off, I appreciate all of you guys' perspective. Like, this is amazing, and we can easily do a second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth part because there's so much to unpack. So I appreciate you guys taking time out of your busy days, busy schedules. I know you guys have a lot going on after this, so we appreciate y'all coming on through. But any closing thoughts, last little advice, comments?
Thank you for having me.
Oh yeah. Shout out your socials, bro. John, an artist, man. Y'all tap in, bro. Music.
JM3 from the P on Instagram. Just dropping a lot of music and dropping content.
Yeah.
There you go.
Stay on the lookout for it.
I think my closing thoughts would be, man, if the one's not coming by, and if, like you were saying, you don't find the one, if God doesn't have it in plan, don't take it as a L.
Yeah.
Take it as an opportunity for you to do more for other people.
Exactly.
Now that you don't have to focus your life in one, dude, go out there and plant flowers, sprout roots that are only going to help the community, but help you as well.
Exactly. And everything that as my dad always say, only what you truly do for Christ will last. So if it's, if it is just singleness, then just think about what, if it is just singleness and you have a vision and you putting your dreams and your visions all in the hands of God, just imagine what, because there's a part in the Bible that says, I'm paraphrasing again, but like if you're married, then you're focused on certain worldly things trying to please your spouse. But if you're single, you're focused a little bit more on heavenly things trying to please God a little bit more, kind of thing. It's Paul wrote it. I forgot which book. Corinthians. Yeah, I wanted to say Corinthians, but yeah. Any
A personal question, do you know where you at, right? Where that, when it comes to that, like,
as far as
do you know if God has someone for you, or are you just kind of going with it? Like, I'm just enjoying it, but I know God has someone for me.
I don't know, but it's like I said earlier, I made peace with both. Like, if God has someone for me and I end up having a wife and kids, praise God. I'm gonna do I've always been one to let things happen naturally. You know what I'm saying? I've never been one to force a situation. So I'm working on myself, trying to improve myself to where if that was to happen, I'm as ready as one can possibly be. But if God does not allow that, I'm blessed and okay, because I have this thing that I'm currently building up, which God has already spoken over, through the laying on of hands and prayer lines, prophecy and stuff like that. So it's like I have that full faith and trust in God to where it's like I literally put everything in it's the desires, all of the desires of my heart and all of my vision, and I know God knows what I truly need and what He wants for me to do, and so it's a sort of peace that comes with that. You know what I mean? Now, 5 years ago, I'd be like, man, I want a wife, I want children. I pray God let me get that. It meant a lot more to me. Not saying it doesn't mean jack, but it's not as like obsessive, or like it's more so what I'm more focused on. What does God truly want? Because we want things, but sometimes what we want ain't in line with what God will have for us. And so and it's good to learn that early on. So it's like, okay, that relationship wasn't it. Maybe this is just a not now, not a not ever kind of thing. You know what I mean? So maybe in 5-6 years we having a whole totally different conversation, and we all married sitting on one couch talking about
one couch. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm happy and at peace with God and with my life and with both situations. That's where I am. It's like, if praise God if it do, praise God if it don't. I know either way I'm good.
Yeah.
And that's a good place to be in, I find.
It's a healthy place.
Yeah.
As long as you're learning.
Yeah, and as long as you're still following through with God's plan, and because that's, being single, that's really where my heart is at, just getting as close to God as I can and just being the best that I could possibly be for Him. Should He send a wife my way, we gonna be the best I possibly can for God and for my wife and family.
Ready to go.
Let's go.
But yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, appreciate y'all for tapping on into another episode of Unrehearsed, the very first episode of the Guys Only edition. We plan on doing this again, covering other different topics with other different panels of gentlemen. Shout out to my lovely guests. Thank y'all so much for coming on through. This was amazing. This was amazing, and you guys are more than welcome to come back. Like, if y'all ever wanted to just come back, even just to say what's up. And we ain't even got to be on camera. We can hang. It's all love here on the Unrehearsed show. Shout out to the whole crew making this happen behind the scenes, and we'll catch y'all on the next episode.